At the front door, I handed an envelope to my mill, saying it was some spending money. She refused, saying she didn't need money, but I insisted, telling her to buy something for the kids. The letter enclosed expressed my gratitude for her care over the years and my apology for not being able to protect the family. That was the last time I saw my mill and my wife.
We never really had good chemistry, did we? You've also had a hard time living with your in-laws. It must have been suffocating for you as a man. However, I do appreciate you giving my parents peace of mind.
My wife said that in a calm tone. I couldn't feel any gratitude or consolation in her words or expression. I am Michael Carter, 48 years old. I'm a manager at a pharmaceutical company. My only daughter, Emily, is a college student studying abroad in France. So it was just my wife and I living together. Her words went on.
Do we really need to keep trying? Life's entering its second half. It's okay to let go of things we've done reluctantly and live out the dreams we couldn't achieve before. Life is once, after all. So I'm not going to Vietnam. An overseas transfer to a developing country. You must be joking. At your age, a 5-year stint in Vietnam sounds like a demotion, doesn't it? It's embarrassing, really. I'm fed up with our current life, and you want me to live even more inconveniently? The fact that you have to follow personnel decisions doesn't change, whether I'm here or not. You should go alone and fulfill your employee duties, but I can't. Just because I'm your wife doesn't mean I have to blindly follow your demotion, right?
With that, she left the room. She probably wants to enjoy the rest of her life as she pleases. Honestly, I saw this coming. But knowing it didn't stop the words from hurting. I couldn't help but feel the pain of a bad premonition turning into reality. I married Linda 23 years ago. We went to different universities but met in a common club. Linda was proactive, cheerful, and stood out. We never met alone during college, but she reached out after I started working, and we began dating. I think she liked where I got a job. It's a well-known, top-tier company with a long history in the pharmaceutical industry. In addition to pharmaceuticals, it also deals with health foods and cosmetics. The company is expanding sales in populous Southeast Asia, developing skincare products suited to the climate, and is now preparing for local sales. We have been selling pharmaceuticals in Vietnam and the Philippines for a while, and sending employees there is not a new strategy. It's about exploring new markets and training local staff, not a demotion. However, Linda, who prefers a luxurious lifestyle, probably hoped for Europe. During our 23-year marriage, we've been abroad 3 times. Our honeymoon was in Hawaii, and the other 2 trips were to France and Italy. All of them were her choices. Linda also went on women-only trips with her college friends. They always went to Europe. She bought luxury goods at duty-free shops abroad and brought back cosmetics for me and our daughter.
Men should wear cologne, too.
I was pressured into using scents I didn't like. When Linda was away, her mother, Sarah, would come over to cook. Originally, this house was built in Linda's parents' backyard as a home for the newlyweds. Linda's travels were not only abroad but sometimes on weekends, so Sarah often took care of things in her absence. Her cooking might not be fancy, but it's the epitome of American home cooking, and both my daughter, Emily, and I always enjoyed it. It tasted better than Linda's cooking, and I could feel her genuine desire to serve delicious food. On the other hand, Linda dislikes cooking. Knowing this, Sarah frequently brings over dishes. While we live separately, part of me thinks living with she would be easier, considering her efforts. But my wife dislikes that idea. She can't stand her mother's nagging. To me, Her complaints seem justified, but to Linda, they are nothing but annoying scoldings. What Linda really wants is not a caring mother, but a housekeeper who silently manages all the household chores. Between the times we finish Sarah's dishes and wait for the next, my wife's cooking makes an appearance as a stopgap. Curry rice, stew, pasta, or Chinese food. In winter, she cooks French onion soup. On those days, the trash bin tells a different story. It overflows with pre-cut vegetables for curry, pasta sauce, ingredients for soup, all in their packaging. My wife never bothered to align trash disposal with the pickup schedule. I try to understand, given my own busy weekdays. But Linda is a homemaker. She has never worked a day in her life. Engrossed in her hobbies like theater and tennis since her younger days, she neglects the housework. Every time, Sarah ends up tidying up the house. I believe she carried our daughter, Emily, on her back much more often than Linda did. My Phil once suggested having another child. He wants a grandson.
No more kids, pregnancy, and raising one was enough.
Linda would frown and say that each time. I've told her not to say such things in front of Emily. What child would be happy to see their mother visibly fed up with parenting? Emily wasn't a gloomy child, perhaps taking after her mother's lively nature, but she seemed somewhat indifferent towards people. Whether that's her true character or the result of her mother's indifferent parenting, I can't tell. But if we were to have only one child, I wish she'd engage more deeply with her. Seeing my wife plan her schedule as soon as my business trips were confirmed made me wonder what our marriage was all about. Even though both are mothers to an only daughter, my wife and Mill are worlds apart. I'm the middle child of 3 siblings, with an older brother and a younger sister. In the countryside, expectations for the eldest son were high, and my brother was cherished, while I, 2 years younger, wore his hand-me-downs. My sister, being the youngest, must have been especially adored. I might have felt excluded, even if our parents didn't realize it. That's why I thought when I got married, I would love our children with all my heart. I always wanted to create a home where the family could feel happiness at all times. I worked hard to ensure we had no financial worries and helped with household chores and child rearing as much as I could. But living with a wife who didn't prioritize home life only increased my burdens. Maybe for Linda, marriage and childbirth were just things she thought she'd try once. My Phil passed away around the time Emily started elementary school. As my Mill no longer needed to care for her husband, Linda relied on her mother even more than before, making her even freer. It was my daughter, rather than my wife, who was worried about my trip to Vietnam. Emily, my daughter, spent a month in Paris on a homestay during her first year of high school. It sparked her interest in France, and so she transferred to a university in France starting from her junior year of college. She often sends pictures and updates from there via WhatsApp and writes detailed messages about the struggles of living abroad. Mark, don't tell Mom. The only things I'm grateful for in my marriage to Linda are the love from my in-laws and having my daughter. By this time, Linda was probably as tired of married life as a child gets tired of playing house. On the morning of my departure, I carried my packed suitcase downstairs alone. I left the signed divorce papers on the bedroom sideboard. A sticky note was attached to it beforehand and it read, "Please sign this before you go." She planned to tell Emily and Sarah after I had left. I didn't want to cause a stir before leaving, so I complied.
Why leave now, when there's really no need to go out at a time like this?
Linda had been away on a trip with her classmates since the day before. She claimed she couldn't cancel the reservation made well in advance because it would be unfair to her friends. I no longer cared about such things. Sarah, waiting to see me off at the front door, seemed even smaller. Please take good care of Linda and look after your health.
Take care of yourself too. Drink enough water and watch your meals.
Please stay healthy. I'll rely on you when Emily comes back.
Take care.
I thanked her sincerely and got into the waiting taxi. I gave Sarah an envelope of money, calling it pocket money. She refused to accept it, but I insisted she use it to buy something Emily likes. The envelope also contained a letter of thanks for her care over the years and an apology for not being able to keep the family together. I think Emily had a hunch about it. Seeing Emily always looking outside, away from home, made me wonder if that's why she left, to avoid facing her anxieties. That was the last time I saw Sarah and Linda. I had no enthusiasm left to start a new life in a foreign country. Leaving my homeland behind, I felt no nostalgia, only the heavy pain of a broken home as I left JFK. Time passed, and I returned to the US. Heading to one of the top hotels in New York, the area was bustling due to the weekend. That day, a Thanksgiving party was being held to celebrate the 100th anniversary of my company. It was a buffet party for employees and their families. I went with Lyin. She is my new wife, whom I met during my 5 years living in Vietnam. I was drawn to her unobtrusive yet attentive demeanor. After 2 years of dating, we decided to marry. Knowing we would return to USA, she learned English in preparation for our life here. Many in Vietnam speak French due to colonial history. Lyin, inheriting her grandfather's accent, relearned and taught French at a language school. There, she interacted with American teachers and students, which was how we met. She seems to have a knack for languages. She's even better at French than me. That day, she wore a traditional Vietnamese aita, a slim-fitting dress. Perhaps because the slim-fitting traditional attire wouldn't suit otherwise, it seemed that overweight women were rarely seen in Vietnam. Although she isn't very tall, Lyin looks slender and elegant, her hair tied up with decorative hairpins and earrings that enhanced her appearance. After descending from the elevator, we walked into the venue together. Her aita was a deep wine color with large flower embroidery. It was not flashy, but elegant, making me feel proud. Life in Vietnam turned out to be more comfortable than I expected. The climate suited me as I disliked the cold, and our apartment was a serviced residence. It was fully furnished and included thrice weekly cleaning and laundry services. We could watch American TV shows and had access to a pool and gym. Living without household chores in a slightly better environment made me think Linda would have liked it had she come. Many Americans lived in my apartment complex. As I began learning Vietnamese, not only did I become acquainted with more American people, but I also started to increase my circle of Vietnamese acquaintances, 1 or 2 at a time. Everyone was kind and friendly, with no airs about them. Surprisingly, American products were available locally, so living there was easy. Our company needed to make inroads here. Getting used to life brought new goals and more comfort. That winter, Emily came from France during her break.
I'm worried about Grandma, so I need to go home to the US. But maybe it's better not to see Mom. I was more concerned about whether you could manage. Dad?
Linda grew up and lived in her hometown, but Emily, having experienced living abroad from a young age, seemed to have more specific concerns. Even when she went to Paris for a language course, it was fun for her at first due to its novelty, but after 2 weeks, the frustration of not being able to communicate and feelings of inferiority overwhelmed her. She got sick of the same food every day and hit a cultural wall. Having experienced that, her study in France after that was much more relaxed, and being better at French made it comfortable. She seemed to enjoy it a lot.
So, Dad, you shouldn't get upset thinking, why is Vietnam like this? Accept everything as a novelty, thinking, so this is normal here. Getting stressed because it's not like the US won't solve anything. It just makes it harder for you.
Seeing Emily giving advice like a counselor, I realized how much she had grown up. Still, the divorce during her absence felt like deceiving my daughter, and I felt guilty. Something must have been wrong or lacking. I feel bad for you.
It's okay.
After the meal, we made sweet Vietnamese coffee and sat down together.
If you can't be happy together, there's no point forcing it. No matter how hard you try, some people just don't mesh. In France, I initially stayed with American people because it was comforting. You can tell what someone is like because the language is the same, right? But gradually, I started feeling, maybe this person and I don't click. Conversely, I found that even with foreigners, there are those with whom I strangely get along. Even though our languages and upbringings are different, and our values and everything else should be too, it's enjoyable to be with them. You just naturally get along with some people without effort. I think it's about fate or compatibility. Even if you're family, saying you should get along unconditionally doesn't change the fate or compatibility that exists. I've always struggled with Mom trying to control everything. I wanted to learn swimming, but she forced me into piano lessons because I'm a girl, and then got angry at me for lacking enthusiasm. I hated practicing in front of her, which made me dislike it even more. She also tried to dress me in her preferred style and got mad when I cut my hair short. Yet, when it was time to change clothes for the season, she couldn't even remember where my uniform was, often leaving it at the cleaners. It felt like everything at home was always half done and chaotic. I might not be supposed to say this, but living with her made me determined not to be such a mother.
That's tough, Emily.
But Grandma was always there to help. Mom often scolded her for spoiling me, but I think Mom was really the one depending on her.
To think she can view adults so calmly at just barely 20 years old. The reality was far from the happy family life I had envisioned. Listening to her made me reflect deeply. Emily never had loud clashes with her mother. It was mostly Linda unilaterally attacking her with words. When my mill or I intervened, it only made Linda more heated up. And the more heated up her mother got, the more silent Emily became. I wonder how much she had to swallow her words and feelings, enduring silently.
I think bad conversations should be avoided.
Bad conversations.
Yay, like those that only cause arguments or escalate emotions. It's better not to have them. As my French improved, my social circle widened, but that was to have good relationships, not to outtalk others. Language is there to understand others. Just because we speak the same language doesn't mean we should say everything. Dad, you must have been holding back, too.
Being consoled by my daughter, who had flown from France, I felt a lack of face as a father. But it also felt like seeing the fruits of my labor.
So, Dad, keep up with your Vietnamese.
Her encouragement boosted my spirits. With a newfound resolve to integrate more into the local culture, my life here became more fulfilling. Curious Emily wanted to explore Vietnam. It expanded my world. The commemoration party began with the president's speech and a history presentation, followed by a meal. Just as I returned to the table with my food,
Long time no see.
suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind. It was Linda. "Why are you here?"
Haha, truly. Even after our separation, I guess I'm still connected to this company. My current husband works here, too, in research and development. He's a key figure in this company.
As Linda said this, Lane arrived with 2 glasses of champagne. When the woman in the iodine appeared, Linda's gaze moved from top to bottom, her expression gradually shifting to one of smug amusement.
You did well, finding a spouse in Vietnam. Of course they'd want to follow you back to the US, a developed country. Seems like your trip was worth it, but maybe you could have found someone younger, right? There are plenty of those here in the US.
It's nice to meet you. I am Liane.
Liane introduced herself quietly.
I'm Michael's wife. My husband has always appreciated you.
Liane displayed her fluent English and confident manner. All of Liane seemed to unsettle Linda.
Oh, yes, likewise.
She stammered, and then a man approached. It was Kaylee, the one Linda boasted about from R&D.
What are you doing here?
As he said this and turned around, the glass slipped from his hand and fell. It hit the carpeted floor with a thud, and splashes of beer flew onto the hem of my pants.
Oh my, what happened? Are you okay?
Linda hurried to pick up the cup and looked up at the man. Kaylee was silent, just staring at Liane. Liane didn't stand up to greet this time. However, she kept looking at him.
It's just beer. It won't stain much, right?
Let's just eat.
Okay, let's go, Kaylee.
Linda left the fallen glass on our table and disappeared with Kaylee to another seat. Are you okay? I asked Liane, and she smiled, squatting down where Kaylee had stood.
How about you? Are you really okay?
I'm fine. It's nothing serious. Let's eat. I suggested for us to eat, and we enjoyed our meal together. Throughout the event, various colleagues of mine approached us, making for a bustling round of greetings and introductions. I could see Kaylee glancing over from the crowd, but I deliberately ignored him. Liane never looked back at him either. After a while, two radiant figures appeared before me. It was Emily and Ho. Emily was in pink, and Ho was in a deep young grass-colored iodine.
There's so much delicious food. Look, I got greedy.
There's char siu as well.
They exclaimed with a big smile and joined our table. The sight of the two young women drew everyone's attention. Linda and Kaylee, this time, were looking over in astonishment. Emily had returned after her graduation and is now working for a company here in the US. My mill had moved into a care facility, and the old house had changed hands. Emily was living independently. She often visited Liane and me, but she never met up with Linda. I wasn't sure what Linda's current husband had told her, but Kaylee was just an eternal deputy manager. There were colleagues at R&D who had attended the wedding between Linda and me. Kaylee had always been problematic. Office romance, broken engagements, infidelity after marriage, and then divorce. And it was a colleague who informed me that the woman he was involved with resembled Linda. It seemed he was quite flustered because he hadn't known about our divorce. It was probably Kaylee who suggested to Linda that my trip to Vietnam was a demotion. Ending up marrying Linda after all his troubles with women might have been the twist of fate Emily talked about. I felt neither anger nor sorrow. I think it would have been worse if I had gone to Vietnam alone while being still married, without knowing it. Emily met Ho, a student from Vietnam, in France, and they hit it off. After Ho returned to Vietnam, she visited both me and her there. Being 4 years older, she must be like a dependable older sister to Emily, who has no siblings. In Vietnam, Emily introduced me to Ho, and through her, I met her mother, Liane. I was already acquainted with Liane from our language classes, so this connection brought us closer. The daughters were pleasantly surprised and happy. Ho, who mastered English and French, returned to Vietnam and secured a job at a multinational corporation due to her language skills. Ho cared for her mother as if compensating for past hardships. She gave many gifts to her and also took her on trips abroad. She took her to Thailand, Cambodia, Singapore, etc. From Vietnam, it only takes an hour or two by plane to these neighboring countries. Liane, who had worked solely for Ho, found herself both delighted and perplexed by these sudden travels. It seemed Ho wanted to make her mother happy, who had lived without luxuries. Ho's filial actions inspired Emily to be exceedingly kind to me. There were times when she brought ingredients from France and cooked French cuisine in Vietnam. Going out to eat with both families and being invited to Lion's home made me believe that it was their presence that allowed us to get married. Watching my daughters, who conversed in French in France, now learning and occasionally mixing Vietnamese and English, was heartwarming. This time, Ho visited New York for the first time. They stayed at our place, but Emily acted as a guide. After a hearty meal, the two of them said they were going out for drinks, left their change of clothes with me, and headed out into the night. Afterward, we slowly stood up from our tea. Walking through the hotel lobby, Kaylee suddenly called out,
Lion.
Turning around, he was out of breath. He must have made some excuse like needing to go to the bathroom to leave Linda and follow us.
When did you come to the U.S.? Are you married? Where do you live?
He bombarded her with questions, to which Lion, in a calm yet dignified voice, responded.
What do you want with me now?
Kaylee was at a loss for words, rooted to the spot. Lion turned her back and started walking away. I supported Lion's back and we stepped outside. Shall we take a walk? Thinking she might want to calm down, I asked, and she quietly linked her arm with mine, and we walked through the night streets together. You must be really tired from all the pretense. She just shook her head at what I said without uttering a word. As we walked in silence, Lion suddenly stopped. What's wrong? Before I could finish asking her, she crouched down. Rushing over, I embraced her, and she began to cry softly. It must have been hard. Helping her to stand, she sobbed, perhaps releasing years of resentment and longing. Being spared from showing her miserable side to Kaylee might have signified the end of a painful past.
Thank you.
She said quietly as we got home. For what?
For everything.
Everything.
I'm happy now, so let's not dwell on the past.
She chose her words carefully and then smiled. I feel the same way. If I were still alone, I wouldn't have attended today. It's because you are with me that I could go. I'm grateful for that. We were able to heal our past wounds through this encounter. It's remarkable how two people from different countries and languages could come together like this. Kaylee, unlike me, was sent to Vietnam when he was younger. His stay wasn't long, but that's where he met Lion. She worked in a restaurant catering to tourists. He took a liking to her, frequented the restaurant, and deepened the relationship, claiming he would work in Vietnam for a long time. Then, a year later, he left without a word. He probably intended to do so from the start. He left no business card and canceled his phone line. He broke up with her as soon as she announced her pregnancy. Lion was just 18 when she entered society. She ended up giving birth to Ho alone, without any way to cope. She left her daughter with her mother and sought Kaylee while working. But there was no clue or lead to be found. The apartment she heard was a company dormitory, had no American residents. The building where she was told his office was located had no such company. She realized her naivety. She had heard that American people were polite and kind-hearted. Lion was aware of the arrogance often shown by people from developed countries, a trait that was likely even more pronounced 30 years ago. Kaylee wasn't like that. That's why she was drawn to him. However, it was all a facade. She was left behind as if she never existed. Lion vowed to give Ho the education she never had. Lion thought, Ho must not live a life like hers. Even in a poor country, if one is capable, others will not treat them with disdain. Lion raised Ho with these thoughts. From a young age, Ho was taught English and French and sent to the university on a scholarship which included studying abroad. It seems that watching Ho grow up was what sustained Lion's heart. How deep were the wounds caused by the betrayal? As a fellow American, it was unbearable. The sudden resurgence of Kaylee in Lion's heart happened while looking at the company's website. I was casually watching the New Year's company event. Lion, bringing tea, caught sight of him on the monitor. We had already married, and Lion had decided to move to USA. In such a situation, memories from 30 years ago come back to life. I came to know Kaylee's betrayal for the first time. Still, we decided to attend the anniversary party together. I wanted to show everything with pride, how we were a couple, that Lion was a Vietnamese woman, and how well she had raised Ho. Lion is not a pitiful woman abandoned by a man, but my wife who has raised her child well and maintains a stable home. Emily felt the same way.
We are one family of 4. Let's show that to everyone.
It was also Emily who suggested wearing the IO dye. We were able to showcase what we had achieved in life, and it was a proud night. The next day, Linda contacted me.
I want to meet and talk.
What's the matter this time? You want to bill me for dry cleaning or something?
Don't play dumb. Please come after work tomorrow. I need to talk to you.
She asked me to meet her at a cafe. It was typical of her to call all the shots.
Who's that woman?
Linda asked bluntly as soon as we sat down. She's family. You and your husband came together, right? It's the same for us.
You must know something. Tell me. Yesterday, my husband left me behind and chased after you too, didn't he? I know about it.
Then ask Kaylee if you want to know. Are you keeping secrets even though you're a married couple?
Just tell me.
It seemed Kaylee didn't spill the beans. When I told her everything, she blamed me for bringing Lion to such a place.
Are you implying she's going to start demanding alimony or child support out of the blue now? Is she trying to extort us by showing up in public like this?
Did Kaylee say that? I barely controlled my voice when I said that. I might have shouted if we weren't in public. My intensity made Linda flinch. Don't play dumb. You're the one who approached us in public, remember? We just want to live our lives without any connection to you two. She doesn't need Kaylee's help. She's raised her daughter splendidly. Even Emily looks up to her. I'm proud of her too. You left me behind when I was transferred overseas. You couldn't bring yourself to go with me, and you ran away. I still hate being seen that way. So yesterday was a good opportunity for you to see the person I've become. There's no reason for us to avoid public attention. We have nothing to hide. You wanted to show off your current husband. Well, if that's all you wanted, then be satisfied with that.
You're so cunning, dragging Emily into this.
Linda said that with a sulky tone. Emily knows how difficult life overseas can be, so she's always been concerned about me. Have you ever done anything like that? Even when Emily went to Paris as a high school student, she went willingly. And what did you do? You just left her to her own devices. You simply said she should study hard because you spent a lot of money sending her there. She told me that's all you ever said.
You've always used Emily to treat me like an afterthought and sidelined me, haven't you? And now what's this? Marrying your colleague's ex-girlfriend without even knowing her? Or is it a jab at me? Are you planning to play the role of her daughter's father, since you know who her real father is? Look at yourself. I'm the one who should be ashamed of you.
That's why our daughter keeps her distance from you, because you always live life centered around yourself. My words seem to sharpen Linda's gaze. Isn't it always like this with you? You never understand anyone else's feelings. If you lack the ability to understand others, shouldn't you at least try to imagine and think about it? And what about Lion being a woman from the past? How would you feel if the same happened to our daughter? Could you just sit idly by? Your current husband is that kind of man. How would you feel now that you know he did something like that? Anyone would normally speak up about it, wouldn't they? If your husband betrayed someone and caused them suffering, shouldn't you, as his wife, feel remorse? All you think about is alimony, threats, and self-preservation. I'm utterly disgusted. Is this your own selfishness, or is it a message from Kaylee? You and he make quite the pair. I stood up and started walking, but then I turned back suddenly. From now on, stay away from us completely. Tell him the same. He's cut off everything and ran away. Whether it's regret or remorse, I don't know, but my wife wants nothing to do with it. There are no plans to meet or let our daughters meet any of you. Is that clear? It's your problem now. You can dig up the past, be disappointed, or do whatever you want. It has nothing to do with us. Even if there are rumors at work, we're not involved. Deal with it yourself, like the mess you've made.
And Emily, give me her contact information. You lied about her getting a job over there. I didn't hear anything about her being in the US. What's going on? She didn't even report back to me, her mother, about returning to the country. Are you behind this?
I couldn't help but sigh. You always play the victim. As a mother, did you ever try to reach out or initiate contact? You only push your agenda when it suits you. And then when our daughter starts avoiding you and you can't get in touch, you blame her. With that attitude, she will never contact you again. I headed outside towards the subway station. I had to get home quickly. Today, I was supposed to cook Vietnamese food with Lion and Ho. If I'm late, Emily will be upset with me. As I was being swayed on the subway, I remembered Kaylee from yesterday. Why did he approach us? Was it out of nostalgia for Lion? Or did he want to see Ho? Despite the risk of rumors spreading among the employees, he still called out to us in public. He must not have forgotten the past. Did he think Lion would feel nostalgic about him? But there is no past that can be recovered. That's going to be the path of his life. Poor guy. The subway doors opened, and I hurriedly got off the platform and rushed up the stairs. I never realized how happy it would be to come home. It's almost childish. In the second half of my one and only life, I'm savoring the happiness of the present once again.